Hey, everybody, it's Mr. Lundquist. Welcome to this week's podcast. It's joined with the newsletter here. There's a ton of information on the newsletter. So, I'm going to try to go through a couple of things. There's some stuff that's not in the newsletter that I'm going to talk a little bit about towards the end about some of the things we're seeing in the building. And I've reminded some students yesterday, but I want to bring it to parent attention because I think it's something that the community should know and the families should know about. But really, one of the big things I want to talk about here is for seniors. We have a senior meeting today. So we'll be meeting actually in about 2 hours with our senior class to go through kind of the final stretch, the last 5 weeks of school, those expectations, what you got to be here. If you're truant, you don't walk. We had a handful of letters I signed for students that were informing they're not walking at graduation because they're habitually truant. We are enforcing that administrative regulation because it's important that students are here. Data, research, everything tells us when kids are here and they're learning, they're progressing, even for seniors, despite their senioritis. And so we'll be talking about that, just expectations this last month and going through what their finals will look like, and or some that maybe don't even have finals, that last week looks like, graduation practice on that Friday before graduation, the memory walk, and just kind of giving them through. We'll also be sharing out some information in the next couple of weeks as we kind of finalize our parking and finalize some of those real fine details about graduation we'll be sharing out. But we're still working with Alliant and we're just working with our vendors just to make sure we're all tightened up before we send all that information out. But again, graduation's at 3 p.m. on that Sunday, June 5th. And doors will open at 2:15. And I think there are no tickets and no limit in guests. So that's information we're going to make sure families know so they can plan accordingly that we've had out there. For the rest of the school, we're talking a little bit about finals. And I do have it in the newsletter, but on Tuesday, June 7th, on Monday, June 6th, we have an E-Day. And then usually we go back to A, but what we're going to do is we're going to swap A and B, and we're going to have a B day on June 7th, and we're going to have an A day on June 8th. And the reason for that is June 8th is kind of essentially most high schoolers' last day. And so at the end of that day is advisory, and students are going to be handing in Chromebooks, books to the library, cleaning out lockers, really kind of getting everything packed up. And during that advisory time, handing in Chromebooks and the chargers will be critical because we'll be going through all the checklists, make sure the Chromebook is still working and in good working order and condition. Those who don't have the Chromebook, you need to hand it in. It will become a fee, a replacement fee if we do not get that Chromebook. And so please be looking or having that conversation with us about what that could look like. If it's broke, we will take a look at it and talk fees and what that piece of it. Some people have insurance. So we're going to go BA on those days, and that would be when finals would be. Not all teachers have finals, some do. For those that do have finals, they will be using that B and A day as kind of the finals, designated finals days for those that have it. But attendance is still mandatory for all students. This is not like first semester where if you didn't have a final, you didn't have to be here. No, mandatory for all the students. Because on Thursday, the 9th, we're going to call intervention day. We really want to hone in on those students that maybe are failing or close to it and make sure they can get themselves across the finish line. And so we're doing a grade check on Friday the week before and on that Monday, and we'll be reaching out to students who have an F, who are failing and is salvageable in terms of getting that grade up to passing for the semester. We'll be notifying students and families that they're required to come in on that Thursday to a certain period. All 8 class periods will run that day, and we'll go through and students will come in and they'll work with teachers to get some stuff done. So hopefully between now and then, if you have missing work, missing assessments, and you're kind of fearful where you're going to be, start working now so you don't have to be there on that Thursday. That's hopefully a motivator. But in the end, we'll be pulling students in and requiring attendance to be here to get across the finish line. As we really want to make sure we're doing everything we can to get as many students the credits they need, the classes they need to be able to get out of here on time and have everything that they desire, to be honest. Now, on that Friday is a half day. That Friday the 10th is a half day. And that Friday the 10th half day will be for finals makeup. So if you did have a final on the 7th or 8th and you were gone because for whatever reason, whether it's athletics, something, family thing, sickness comes up, that Friday morning will be reserved for those students who have just missed those finals. And your teacher will notify and you work with your teacher on that. So it's in the newsletter. I want to explain it. We'll continue to talk about it so there is no surprise. But no, that's kind of that expectation as we get into that final week. With less and less finals happening, we're trying to kind of get rid of that weird, funky schedule. This is a little bit different, but really focusing on the intervention piece as opposed to just kind of the finals, which we're slowly, some departments just have kind of slowly gone away from, because we see at the university level and we want to get students ready. Well, finals just aren't this thing that not everybody does anymore. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. We do have prom coming up on May 14th. So if you get your tickets, make sure that prior to starting May 9th, they'll be sold for $10 at lunch, and you can get them at the door for $15 on May 14th. AP testing starts next week, Monday, May 2nd. We have a list of AP tests. We're really proud of the 179 students that are taking AP assessments, 249 exams. That means we got a lot of kids taking 2-3 AP tests, but 179 students, that's a quarter of our students are taking the AP test. That's something we're all proud of. We want to continue to up that number and challenge students. Take that AP course, sign up for it, see what you can do. So we're excited about that coming up. So students are focused there. There's graduation information here, which I've shared before, and I'll continue to share as we get a little bit closer. Staff and Teacher Appreciation Week is next week. So if you have the opportunity, please say thank you and share a little hello with staff and teachers. Seniors, you got to be here. We talked a little bit about that. But I want to go back to something I mentioned earlier. And students, especially in the first lunch, got to see me use what I call my principal voice, right? And it's not one in a tone I like to use too often, but we are seeing some very concerning things happening in the building in terms of respect to property. I am seeing tables like students are like sawing into them. We are finding wet toilet paper thrown in the ceilings. Someone actually left feces on a changing table in a boys' bathroom. Just disgusting things that show absolutely no respect for our building, no respect for the work, the taxpayer dollars that you, myself, those who live in this community put into this, and the hard work we put into this to try to make this building clean and great. Our cafeteria, we've had issues with kids leaving sodas and leaving drinks and wrappers, and just it's like I asked, do you do this at home? I hope not. I don't think you do. We had a table that they had left a giant mess, and one of our amazing custodians, who we're short custodians, we don't have custodians. People are having a hard time getting custodians, and this is not helping this behavior and this lack of respect. And we had students say to the custodian, well, that's your job, you pick it up. And they walked away. The job is to clean up. It is not to pick up all the mess because a student wants to be disrespectful. I mean, it was disgusting, that kind of language and behavior and disrespect. We have tables that are in rough shape and people are drawing on them. I mean, like, this is not stuff we saw before. And I want to chalk it up to a COVID hangover, but I don't know how the lack of respect for this building, we take pride in this building, a lot of pride. And we really hope students do too. And we hope that you as parents can have these conversations, because quite honestly, it's disappointing. It's embarrassing. And this behavior is not that I ever want to see it at any other level, but when we get here to high school, this is not acceptable behavior. This is not something it just should not be happening here. We should be beyond this. And so I asked a partner with me to really have these conversations. When we talk about all the things, and we have taxpayer money that goes into these buildings that helped build this beautiful space. And now we're going to have to replace tables and replace chairs and replace things because students have been taking it upon themselves to not have any regard for it. And it's really hard to, keep these things nice when students just don't care. And our staff is working very hard. They're trying to stay on it. We're trying to get our custodians here, but we also have to have respect for the work they do. They work their tails off. They are underpaid. They have a ton of work to be doing, and it's competitive. We're trying to get custodians in. So we need the community support to really help us make this a space that people want to come and people want to work. And with the level of not by all, but by some, the level of disrespect to the building and to our staff has just been unconscionable, to be honest. And I challenge the students who are doing the right thing. Call those students out. Tell them to knock it off. Go pick your tray up. Pick your garbage up. I challenge students, just like we do with the equity work, when we hear things that are disgusting that get said to peers, call it out. Make this a place, a culture where that is not acceptable by myself and administration, by teachers, and by our fellow peers. So I challenge students, I challenge families to have these conversations and talk about what it means to be respectful. So thank you for all that you are doing in this partnership. I apologize for the soapbox, but it's just been getting really disheartening. Both lunches heard me yesterday speak pretty sternly to it. And no student is above being respectful and creating habits that are good for our community. So thank you for joining me again. A lot going on in this last month with a lot of activities, a lot of sports. seen the newsletter. Some amazing stuff happened with DECA at the international competition. We had students, freshmen, who were like top in the country in some things. Just some remarkable work by our business department, specifically Miss Carol, leading up DECA, leading a group of students down to Atlanta, and just really representing us. We're so proud of the work they're doing, and want to thank them for representing us in the way that they did. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing everybody again soon. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.